8-month, 14-day check-in. Coming at you guys with another check-in here. It's been 8 months, 14 days with no nicotine. You know, I've been going strong in this journey, regardless of being offered vapes, being around cigarette smoke, being around vape smoke, being around all these things. And after 8 months, and I really felt this confidence, I'd say, pretty much as soon as I quit, but, it feels like a lasting confidence that, I don't have to deal with nicotine addiction anymore, and I don't have to worry about having thoughts of relapse. And if I do have thoughts of relapse, I know that nicotine is there. It's something that is used, and if I ever had wanted to use nicotine again, moderation would be at play, and also I wouldn't do it unless I felt like I, earned it in some way, shape, or form. And even then, I would have to do some intellectualization about it, surrounding it, and be able to justify it in the correct way, in the correct manner. And that's something that when you are addicted, I feel like you don't really have much of a grasp on, because you're so focused on the nicotine addiction, I don't remember what I was talking about, but you're so focused on the nicotine addiction that mentally you kind of forget what moderation means to you, right? And the fact of the matter is that if you're doing it in moderation, then that should help you to not become addicted. And at 8 months and 14 days without nicotine, what differences do I notice mentally? Well, I do notice that mentally there seems to be more mentally rewarding times when just events and situations, they feel more rewarding, mentally now, and more mentally stimulating as well, now that I'm not addicted to nicotine. And I think that's just because, mentally being open to all sorts of interactions and all sorts of scenarios. Mentally, there are times that you are not doing anything, and you may be pondering the nicotine. You may be thinking about it or having thoughts about it. It's not a crazy thing for this to continue to happen, right? It's just the less you pay attention to it, the more quickly that craving or that thought is actually going to go away. So, basically, in order to not, dwell on those thoughts of relapse or anything like that, you have to really, really put yourself into a really present, you almost have to absorb yourself into whatever you're doing. And it just feels like you're able to do that regardless, without dealing with addiction. It feels like you're able to move freely between enjoyment and not enjoyment, or would you say work and then play, It seems like you're able to go back and forth more easily when you practice moderation. That's definitely for sure. And physically, just even talking about how it's different when you're addicted to something versus when you're not addicted to something. Physically, you don't need this substance to exist day to day. You don't, if you ran out of it, you would be fine. You wouldn't have any problems without it. That's what I'm talking about, moderation. And it's primarily up to the person to decide what they're okay with, right? Physically, you want to get healthier, then start treating your body better, right? Start paying attention to what you're eating, start paying attention to what you're drinking. This is something that I'm even working on daily, right? I'm trying to push myself to really just take over in all these categories and to be the best version of myself. So physically, there is a very apparent knack or just the need to be active, and that's something that's helped me a lot. I think that's, if I were to recommend anything, is that exercise is really a great outlet for doing things that, you can distract yourself from what you used to be doing, right? Even if you used to be doing certain activities physically, like working out or something, like say you brought your device to the gym, you could literally do the same thing. You can go to the gym but not have your device, and you'll just be enthralled, or you'll be more absorbed into the moment, and you'll be just more absorbed and more present, even though you could still have your device, and you could just say, hey, I'm just going to use it at this time. I'm not going to get crazy with it. I'm going to have it at a controlled amount of use, and it's not going to, it's not going to mess with my whole physical being, right? It's not going to have an impact because I'm doing it in such a moderative amount. And so physically, it's definitely great to give your lungs, give your body that time to regenerate, the time to heal, because you don't want to just run down your body, right? That's not really setting a good example for yourself or for anything in that matter, right? Spiritually, there's a call to spiritually accept the world that we are in, and not only that, but regardless of spiritually having a mission and spiritually living up to high morals, and living up to systems that are of self, that are kind of the codes that you live by. There's really that's what I've been really into recently spiritually, is fulfilling that spiritual path. And it's a path that is not easy at all. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of patience. It takes going forward. It takes pushing through no matter what. And spiritually, knowing that you're doing the right thing, and that your spirit is also you know, in good terms, or, you know, you're in good spirits, is what I'm trying to say. And because, you know, it'll play an effect on how your reality is, and how you interact with your reality. I know there was one more point I was going to try to make about that when I was talking about spiritually, you know, acknowledgement of the path, that, you know, there may be spiritual haters out there, or there may be just haters in general, like I talked about in my last video, like the devils, you know, new levels, new devils, like I spoke about before. Only trust these people as far as you can throw them, right? You guys know that talk is cheap. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're getting attacked spiritually, you know, that's just one reason of how you know you can be on your path, right? Because you're actually getting attacked, you know, like I said, it just happens, and it happens in the daily life. It happens to people, and it's the world that we live in, so it's about staying protected, you know, regardless. Doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. You don't always know, like I said before, that you're in your power when you are being true to yourself. And, you know, emotionally, what am I been feeling? I'm going to say that, in regards to what I was just speaking about, you know, there's a time to always bring up things that have happened in the past that you've been holding on to, either in anger, or in sadness, or in, you know, jealousy, or in envy of anything, right? You can neutralize that and leave it at 0, and ashes to ashes, right? Move on. Don't dwell on things in the past. Always remember that you can move on to the future in a new way. Not in an old way, but in a new way that, you know, it kind of takes heed to the previous things that were good, but then it leaves out the things that you can't use in this new, you know, in this new way of doing things. But emotionally, there is a time where you have to be, you know, the emotionally mature one to know what's right and wrong no matter what during the situation. Depending on what you choose to be, you know, it's up to you. You have that choice. It's gonna feel better if you do the right thing, I'll tell you that much from my experiences. If you don't own up to your mistakes and you don't take full responsibility, emotionally, you're never gonna be balanced, you know? You're gonna be all this way, all that way, you know? You're gonna be shaky all day. Like, you gotta be at least being true to yourself, right? And this just ties into knowing that you are not being impacted to feel a certain way by any attacks, any times you're being targeted. Alright, well, anyways, if you're ever getting targeted or anything like that, just know that you only trust people as far as you can throw them, right? Basically, you know that someone is targeting you if there's a lot of, you know, hiding of the hand going on, and a lot of just not being straight up, and not a lot of direct communication, not a lot of making things clear, as well as Oh, give me a second. Let me get a tissue. And so, like I was talking about, not a lot of clear communication. You think something's going on, then just remain having the advantage. Once these people show their cards, then you're at the advantage. So always remember that that no matter what, stay protected mentally, stay protected physically, stay protected spiritually, stay protected emotionally. All these things that are going to continue to make you, resistance to any experience that you're ever going to go through in life, and also allow you to grow indefinitely. Back talking about how it's been 8 months and 14 days without nicotine. I want to talk about how things went in perspective of mentally. And today mentally I was pretty locked in and focused on getting things in order, because I had taken a little bit of a excursion, a little bit of a travel up to Tucson to see a band play. It was a great performance, but other than that, immediately after the trip, heading back, I mentally started to get things organized, just getting things down, like perhaps ideas that I want to work on, things that I know that I need to develop, problems that I know that need to be developed, that I need to sit down and actually work out on. And when I was on my way back, I was just kind of mentally getting those things in order. Physically, spacing out my meals today just to allow for my body to give a little bit of time to just relax and go back into its kind of natural rhythm of things. And primarily because I hadn't been eating the best diet recently, so now I'm going back in my regiment, going harder again, going to be trying to get even more and more results and more benefits out of a healthier diet. Spiritually, got to experience traveling into a new space, experience a atmosphere of, I want to say thousands of people, right, in this concert. And it was a very, like I said, it was a great performance. It was a moving performance. It was good music, good visuals, just good everything that you could imagine in a concert. And so being in that situation, realizing that the way that music is and how it's just understood at such a deeper level that you can just feel it, and you can feel the energy in the air. But like I said, spiritually, being surrounded by other people and that had a shared experience that was blissful, I would say, and that was almost nostalgic and euphoric in a way, and it was out of a holistic experience that was shared as a whole. So that was an interesting thing, definitely interesting spiritually, and that whole experience, that whole concert going up, was just, it was just fascinating. And then, of course, emotionally, you know, I had a very stable day emotionally because I had everything else in order, so I had no choice but to continuously just be strong. Just keep chipping away at the day, no matter what. Something comes up where I'm doubting myself a little bit, oh, not gonna happen. You know, stabilize that out. Make sure you know that you have it structured. You have things that you know are gonna go smoothly throughout the rest of the day, so that you're not just thrown into a wacky emotion and you feel like you're not stable or anything like that. But all in all, it's a matter of keeping track of how you're doing things, right? And this is just what I've been doing to kind of help document my journey quitting nicotine. It's the best way that I know to develop and to teach other people what I'm going through as a, you know, what you would say maybe recovered nicotine user of 5 or 6 years. And I just want to make and continue to make these videos because I want to make a difference, and I want to help people realize that this is not a normal thing to be addicted to these drugs, right? And it's okay to do whatever you want to do, but it's always the right thing to be aware of what you're doing and to be consciously aware of the effects that these actions have. So always be aware of that. You know, as this was the 8-month and 14-day check-in. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for the support. Peace.